Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rüdiger Bohn. I'm the German ambassador to the UN in Vienna, and I have the privilege to welcome you to this side event. The side event is at the same time the second session of today's Environment Day here in Doha, and this second session is organized by the German Ministry on Environment and the German Agency on Environment. And the title of this event is Technology for Integrity and Environmental Protection. It's very much about corruption as an enabler for crimes against the environment, and about measures that are needed for those who work in these areas: wildlife protection, mining, pollution management, waste management, and so on. And without further ado, I'd like to hand over to the moderator, Deti Saluling from the Pulitzer Center. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Rüdiger Bohn, for your thoughtful and inspiring opening remarks. Good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Deti Saluling. I'm a senior manager at the Pulitzer Center. It is my pleasure, of course, to welcome you all to today's panels about technology, how technology can support and promote integrity and environmental protection. This is a hybrid session. Our speakers are joining us both in person here with us and also remotely. Our audience is also participating in the same way. So again, thank you all for joining us this morning. It is an honor to moderate this high-level session, which is part of the Environmental Day at the CoSP11 conference. First, I would like to congratulate the organizers who meticulously prepare this session and brought us together: the German Federal Environmental Ministry, in cooperation with the German Federal Environment Agency, as well as Interpol and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, who are the co-sponsors of the panel. Let me start a little bit with the context for this panel. Of course, we know natural resources are the backbone of economic and social health, the primary sustenance for livelihoods, food security, healthcare, and ecosystem. However, these resources face increasingly serious threats from illegal and destructive activities such as illegal logging, damaging extractive industries, wildlife trade, unsustainable fishing, and pollution. These threats are exacerbated by corruption and lack of accountability. This impact not only contribute to the climate crisis, they hit the most vulnerable, the local communities and the biodiversity that sustain the environment. So in this session, we will hear about the role of technology and digital resources to address these problems and potential solutions. To begin, we will have a welcome remark from Professor Lilian Bousset on behalf of the organizer. The remark is pre-recorded, so please, I invite you to join me to listen to the recording.
A warm welcome to the second session of the Environment Day at the 11th Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. I'm Lilian Bousset, Vice President of the German Environment Agency. True to our motto, for our environment, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to an event about technology for the integrity and environmental protection. I hope that the next 50 minutes will be full of inspiration for you, showing you how digital tools can be used in order to fight corruption. The content of today's event is created through extensive collaboration within our ministry and its agencies, but also with the colleagues from Interpol, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and various countries. With the Pulitzer Center, we also have a private institution on board. A particularly warm welcome to all of our speakers. Before I hand over to them, let me emphasize briefly. We all are aware of the influence of corruption on the environmental sector, and we are committed to fighting it. Today is the day of our experts and practitioners. Unfortunately, we can only show you a small part of what we all do. So get in touch with us. We all are looking forward to working with you for our environment. And with that, I wish you a fruitful discussion.
Thank you, Professor Bousset, for the very warm welcome. We will now begin the main program of this session. Of course, we are fortunate to have a diverse multi-stakeholders panelists who are leaders representing different states and organizations that are spearheading efforts to leverage technology and digital advancement for environmental protection. They will share global perspective and experience on innovative approaches and digital resources about monitoring environmental information and combating environmental crimes. Let me introduce our panelists. We will start with Dr. Markus Schröder, who will begin with a political and ministerial view, followed by technical expert from the agency. Next, we have Lida Toci, Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice Officer from the UN on DC. Hervé Marie, next, from the Environment and Health Command from the National Gendarmerie of France. But he will be joining us virtually. His name is there, but joining us virtually. And we have Adrian Sanchez Romero, Senior Operation Coordinator from the Environmental Security Subdirectorate at Interpol, and Paulo Henrique Oliveira Roja, Coordinator of CCPI Amazonia in Brazil. To be time efficient, because we don't have a lot of time, the speaker will speak one after another. With that, I hand the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Schröder, please.
Yes, thank you very much. And first of all, thank you and the audience very much for your presence. It's a great pleasure for me and an honor at the same time to join this event and this conversation with colleagues who share the conviction that protecting our environment and fighting against corruption increasingly become a common goal. And they reflect the two sides of the same coin. At our Federal Ministry for Environment and Climate Action, we have learned environmental policy can no longer stop at forests, oceans, or climate targets. It must also include a clear-eyed view of how the destruction of nature, fueled by corruption, which weakens institutions, erodes trust in societies. Environmental crime is now the third most profitable criminal business worldwide after drugs and counterfeiting. It generates up to $250 billion a year. And yet it often goes unnoticed. No alarms, no headlines, just a missing forest, a polluted river, a silent ocean. Corruption in the background of these crimes is a key enabler and allows them to go unreported. Technological innovations may be the defining feature for our success in combating both corruption and crimes that affect the environment. Because environmental crimes do not stop at borders, neither can our response to it. To break the business model of environmental crimes, we need stronger international cooperation and broader alliances across the sectors with groups that traditionally do not work together. I'm a little surprised that our Federal Ministry for the Environment is the only environment ministry here at this CoSP, albeit we need to bring together the communities of the fighters for the environment, as well as the fighters for the rule of law and justice. And with it, I hand over to my colleagues from our agency.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Eva Wellkamp, and I'm happy to present our AI prototype for the automated detection of potentially illegal online wildlife trade ads. This project was jointly developed by the German Federal Agency for Nature Conservation and the AI Lab at the German Environment Agency. One of the fastest growing forms of environmental crime is the illegal trade in protected wildlife species. It is estimated to be worth up to $23 billion per year. In recent years, this trade has increasingly moved online. Thousands of new offers appear every day, making manual monitoring impossible. That's why we started exploring how AI can help to turn this overwhelming manual work into a data-driven and efficient process. To do this, we developed a web scraper that automatically collects listings from platforms and stores them in a central database. Once the data is gathered, we apply AI-based text and image recognition to extract key information such as the price, quantity, origin, scientific name, and most importantly, the protection status of each species. All extracted data are structured and stored within the database, creating a comprehensive foundation for further analytical work. Here you can see a short demonstration of the Coral prototype. This is a front-end view. On the left-hand side, users can filter entries according to various criteria, for example, by scientific name, protection status, or method of detection. The system searches through the database for matching listings within a defined time frame. As you can see, for the Lygodactylus williamsi, 4 relevant entries were found, each indicating its protection status, in this case Appendix 1, along with the method used for detection, either text or image recognition. It also ranks results by relevance, such as here you can see an example of a scraped listing, the ideal case where the species is matched both by text and by image recognition. Finally, we also extract the price information from every listing, as price can serve as an indicator of potential illegality in trade. In a 6-month pilot phase, the tool flagged over 50,000 animals from more than 1,200 cited species on 5 platforms. The current prototype is already delivering promising results. However, it is still in an early development phase and not yet ready for operational deployment. Further iterations and refinements are definitely needed. Still, the prototype already shows how AI can make environmental enforcement smarter and faster. First of all, I would like to thank the project team for their excellent work. And last but not least, thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us.
Hello everyone! We will show you 2 examples of how Earth observation from space can be used to monitor the environment. Our 2 examples are connected to the Copernicus program, which is the Earth observation program from the European Union and many contributors. The program covers different branches, from climate change to land monitoring down to emergency management. And I think the most important point here to make is that most of this is open data and can be used by you and the community. We have 2 examples, one focusing on the topics of climate change and the atmosphere, and one focusing on the topics of marine and land monitoring. The first example is the detection of methane emissions from space. You see here a graphic from our colleagues in the Netherlands at ESRON. We see an ensemble of emission plumes which were detected around the world by one specific satellite mission. The lower panel shows what such an observed emission looks like from the satellite perspective. We can then ask the question, do those detections match our understanding of emissions in official reports, and how do they match with our goals under the Paris Agreement? This is just shortly illustrated with a summary of known emitting sites in Europe on the right-hand side based on reporting. But what I think is of key importance is that Earth observation gives us new complementary methods. It gives us a new level of transparency and chances of international collaboration, and we have to look where we implement those new technologies in our fields of work and how we get the most impact from them.
Our second example for today is about the observation of surface waters. And here we have future problems because of the climate change. We will face more algae blooms and occurring fish die-offs because of the oxygen depletion, and this can lead to bathing prohibitions. Also, we still have problems with leakage pollution. To face these issues, we want to set up an algae monitor. With this demonstrator, you can use remote sensing data for water quality assessment. It is based on free and open source data and software. The objective is to map the parameter chlorophyll A in near real time. And another aim is to make sure that this method gets more accessible. For instance, for Water Framework Directive reporting, bathing water observation, or early warning systems for algae blooms and fish die-offs. On this slide, you can see how the tool is going to look in the end. You can see the processed remote sensing data and chlorophyll A concentration displayed in different colors. This page we want to implement in situ measurements so that users can compare both data sets. And this is an example how remote sensing data can be used for other different use cases in surface water observation. And with this, we want to thank you for your attention. And here you can see the contact details for the projects and also for Copernicus and Earth observation at the German Environment Agency.
Thank you. We'll transition back in the room, and you can tell technology is a great part of this side event as well. So my name is Leida Tocci. I work with the UNODC Global Program on Crimes that Affect the Environment, and it's very encouraging to see such high interest from our partners and also from the participants on this important topic. Corruption is a key enabler of crimes that affect the environment, and as such, we're very appreciative of these initiatives. UNODC is integrating technology more and more systematically into how it supports member states to address crimes that affect the environment. And that includes innovative tools for detection and analysis alongside established science and technology that strengthen forensics and evidence, which are critical for effective investigations, prosecutions, and judicial outcomes. Central focus of this is, for example, the use of technology to strengthen forensic evidence in ways that it can stand up in court. UNODC supports scientific tools that link environmental harm directly to criminal conduct. One example is a platform called TigerBase, developed by the NGO Trace with support from UNODC. This enables establishing unique DNA profiles for captive tigers across Southeast Asia, enabling animals to be traced in illegal trade cases and allowing the identification also from offspring from captive breeding facilities. In parallel, UNODC supports establishment of dedicated wildlife DNA forensic laboratories to build long-term national capacity. And that's the case, for example, in Uganda, where wildlife and timber DNA laboratory is now operational in Entebbe. And also in a similar laboratory in Vietnam handles currently dozens of cases annually. Where permanent laboratories like this are not immediately feasible, UNODC supports deployable forensic solutions to portable enforcement laboratories for testing seizures, also called PELTs, allowing equipment and expert scientists to be rapidly deployed for high priority cases and intelligence-led operations. UNODC also promotes technology that supports frontline enforcement and early detection. For example, in the timber sector, misdeclaration of species is common, and officers often lack rapid verification tools. We are therefore piloting an app called Xylorix AI application for timber identification, and supporting its use in Uganda, Cameroon, and Madagascar. We also support mobile application for frontline identification, including CITES identification reference apps. Now, across all these areas, the guiding principle really is that technology adds value only when it directly strengthens investigations, prosecution, and judicial outcomes, and not when it operates in isolation. And this is where partnerships matter more than anything. And for example, on crimes in the fishery sector and illegal fishing specifically, UNODC partners with Skylight to help member states convert maritime data into actionable intelligence that supports investigations, prosecutions, and enforcement at sea. I have a colleague joining me from Skylight, Theo Girard, but I will very briefly speak to a couple of examples of the results that this partnership with Skylight has led to. One example comes from Indonesia, where analytical work in partnership with UNODC and Skylight by the Indonesia Ocean Justice Initiative has contributed directly to judicial outcomes. Findings were taken up from the Indonesia's fisheries courts, leading to the Ocean Justice Initiative being formally recognized as an expert witness and invited to testify before the fisheries court at the district court of Bitung in the North Sulawesi. And this involved a criminal case involving a foreign fishing vessel operating in Indonesia's exclusive economic zone. Beyond this specific case, this has led to a formal memorandum of understanding with the Indonesian government and structured information sharing with authorities. And really, this is where we try to get to. This is the result we want to see. A second example comes from Panama, where earlier this year, intelligence-led operations in the Coiba Reach marine protected area resulted in 6 longliners being arrested and the seizure of 30 tons of illegally caught yellowfin tuna. And that's really the largest illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing enforcement action in Panama's history to date. The operation illustrated how timely intelligence can translate directly into concrete enforcement and deterrence outcomes. Now, taken together, these examples illustrate the broader point, how technology can significantly strengthen responses to crimes that affect the environment when it's operationally relevant, legally grounded, and embedded in enforcement and prosecutorial workflows. We have a resolution that's been mentioned that is being currently negotiated. There is strong language in the resolution also on the importance of the use of technology for anti-corruption efforts, and that includes from beneficial ownership, transparency to whistleblower protection. These are all aspects that are very relevant to this work. So with that, I will hand over for a brief intervention to Theo, who's online, just to show you how this whole collaboration with Skylight works in practice. Theo, over to you.
Thank you so much for this great introduction, Lisa. I hope you can hear me, and I don't know if I'm sharing my slides because yeah, great, I can see it's sharing because what we do is quite visual. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure joining you all today. So my name is Theo, and I work for the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, which is one of the leading AI research organizations today. And I'm here to present a program that we have developed on applied AI to basically see how it can track and monitor IU fishing around the world. So how do we basically do this? So yeah, just to mention that Skylight is a non-profit program, and we provide this technology at no cost, and our focus is on derivating AI models to capture the real-time picture, the operational real-time picture. So there's 2 things we can do with AI today in the maritime space. And to tackle IU fishing, the first question is, do you follow the fish or do you follow the vessel? The easy way to do that today is to follow the vessel, because we have data sets, which I'm going to present, that are easier to use to actually track illegal fishing, starting with the vessel. And AI can do 2 things in this respect. There is predictive insight, which is forecasting, understanding where a vessel or where illegal fishing is going to happen in the future. And this is very experimental at this level today. But what we can do pretty well is deleting the noise, surfacing the fishing activity in real time as it is happening. To do that, there's 2 main data sets we use. So one is GPS trackers, which we call AIS signals on board vessel, which allow to basically know their position in real time around the world. But what we're trying to do with AI is actually not only to know where they are, but what they're doing and if they're fishing. And then you have vessels that are not going to show their position, their GPS trackers. And here we're trying to detect these dark vessels using satellite imagery. So here you have an example of how we are surfacing fishing activity from this GPS tracker. So we have models that analyze in real time GPS trackers on board vessels and can tell you exactly when and where vessels are fishing. So here are a couple of examples of vessels that have been caught fishing off the coast of South Africa with the vessel movements that you can see on the screen. And this is just a few examples, but imagine that we can do this at a global scale. And so here, what you're seeing is something that only AI has been able to unlock, the possibility to capture fishing activity in real time over vast, portion of the ocean here in the southwestern part of the Pacific Ocean. for satellite imagery now. So satellite imagery is very, very useful to detect the vessels that are not broadcasting any GPS trackers, right? And so we've built this model that can use a satellite imagery, detect vessels within the satellite imagery in less than a minute, and make a correlation to identify which vessels are showing their position and which vessels are not showing their position. So here, these are a couple of examples of vessels that are actually not showing their position in real time and that we captured through satellite imagery. And because we're adding more and more satellite to the system, we can start to have this dynamic modeling of dark fishing fleets. So here an example off the coast of Galapagos from a fleet that belongs partially to Chinese vessels, and that we can see moving closer and closer to Galapagos over the months of May 2025. Another way we can also leverage AI is using natural language processing models here. So imaging combining the data I showed you before with a ChatGPT sort of things, where you would ask the big questions that would take hours or days for any analyst to compile. For example, how many vessels have been fishing in the French economic exclusive zone over the last 6 months, right? It will take ages for any analyst to do that. And with such systems, we can actually capture this kind of data and insight in just a matter of minutes. So these are, just a couple of examples of the work we're conducting under this program. This is some figures around our impact. And today, we work with over 200 government agencies around the world. We have a great partnership with UNODC that we really value. And you have here my contact details as well, should you have any questions on what we're doing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And I think right now we are inviting Mr. Hervé Marie, who will join us from virtually online. Please.
Thank you for your introduction. Good morning for all participants. Although I am speaking remotely today, it's an honor to address you on behalf of friends at the 11th session of the CoSP. Today, I would like to focus on the intersection between environmental crime, corruption, and money laundering, and to explain why the nexus requires an integrated operational response. Environmental crime is no longer marginal. It's now the first largest source of illicit income after drug trafficking. This criminal activity continues to grow by 5 to 7% annually and affects all regions of the world. It's increasingly organized, transnational, and financially structured, and it directly undermines public governance, the rule of law, and sustainable development. What makes it particularly attractive to criminal networks is not only its profitability, but also the perfection that it remains less risky than other forms of serious crime. It's a very big problem. As a result, environmental offenses are very often accompanied by corruption, document fraud, abuse of public authority, and complex financial claims. This is precisely why environmental investigation cannot be separated from financial investigations. French gendarmerie do it since 30 years. Illegal logging, illegal mining, gold panning, poaching, falsification of permits, and subsidized fraud are rarely isolated acts. They are embedded in systems of corruption and sustained through financial crime and the money laundering. This is precisely why environmental and financial investigation must be conducted together from the very beginning of investigation. I am sure about it. Operationally, France relies on digital tools and data-driven approaches. Real-time monitoring systems, including IoT sensors, allows authorities to detect abnormal pollution levels, water contamination, or deforestation, for example. Satellite imagery and drone data have become a decisive role of investigators. Directorate for Environment and Public Health and my law enforcement works with European projects such as GeoInt, funded by the French National Centre for Space Studies and the European Space Agency, and ELIX, funded by the European Union, enable the rapid identification of illegal dump sites, clear-cut forest areas, and illegal wall panning sites. These tools respond directly to local concerns, particularly those of mayors, who are under constant pressure from citizens affected by environmental harm and illegal waste disposal. However, images alone are not sufficient. To be operationally effective, this data must be systematically cross-checked with open administrative databases, operating permits and concessions, import and export authorization, and corporate registries. Increasingly, blockchain technology are used to secure documents such as timber provenance certificates or waste shipments records. These tamper-proof systems significantly reduce opportunities for fraud and corruption in the future. Finally, predictive mapping, combining environmental and economic data, allows authorities to identify high-risk areas, prioritize inspection, and deploy resources more efficiently. Investigations also rely on undercover operation and the protection of intelligence sources as authorized by French laws. Specially trained officers may operate under pseudonyms to identify illegal sellers or document fraudulent offers from online, including on the darknet. Intelligence is gathered through some strong cooperation between public authorities, non-governmental organizations, international partners such as Europol and Interpol, and citizens report via the Pharos platform, which allows anonymous reporting illegal online activity in France. Environmental, financial, and several fraud investigators work side by side. It's very important. This synergy is essential to trace financial flows and to ensure the seizure of criminal assets with which environmental crime will continue to pay. In 2018, satellite analysis revealed illegal dump sites operating for more than 30 years in the southern France. More than 200 police officers from the relevant authorities were mobilized. 11 individuals were arrested, assessed were seized, and the court ordered the environmental rehabilitation of the sites. This case illustrates how digital evidence, financial analysis, and coordinated field operations conducted simultaneously lead to concrete and measurable results. Building on this approach, investigators have also identified online platforms offering the illegal sale of protected species, both listed and unlisted under the CITES. This network generates billions of dollars globally and increasingly operate through social media and encrypted platforms. In France, organized wildlife trafficking carries heavy criminal penalties, and investigators across all units are now being trained to conduct this online and undercover investigation, ensuring a sustained operational response. In conclusion, I would like to say, environmental crime represents a major corruption risk and a direct threat to future generations. Only through integrated investigation, combining digital tools, financial analysis, undercover techniques, and strong interagency and international cooperation, it's very important, international cooperation, can states fully implement the spirit of the UNCAC and ensure that environmental crime no longer pays. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for giving us the possibility to speak today on behalf of Interpol. We, as a police organization at international level, what we do is to provide operational support to our 196 member countries. And as the organization with the mandate to exchange police and nominal information. This is the main aim of our work, so that we facilitate first the exchange of information amongst the different countries who are part of Interpol. But second, we also provide specific support to the investigations, and that's at least as part of it, thanks to the support provided by some of the projects, such as Project Gaia with the government of Germany, or Project LEAP with the Norwegian government. We are able to provide this kind of support to help the member countries with operational tools that they do not have access to. In this regard, we are focusing recently on supporting the member countries, specifically on forensic technology, as we identified as one of the priority needs for the member countries that, unfortunately, forensic analysis is part of most of the law enforcement agencies around the world, but it's not usually available to provide support to the investigations with regard to environmental crimes. That's why we are trying to provide as much as possible, not only with the extraction of data from electronic devices. As you all know, we have our live in our phones, and criminals do as well. So that's why we are also focusing on providing this kind of specific support. But it's not only about the extraction of data, but also on the analysis of this data and the cross-checking on all the Interpol databases and the rest of the data provided by the rest of member countries. So that's the unique and the added value of Interpol tools as the organization helping to bring these gaps and to connecting these dots on the criminal networks operating. Because at the end, when we speak about environmental crimes, we have first the links to corruption, and second the links and nowadays we cannot speak about environmental crimes without speaking about organized crime. If we look at the example of illegal mining, in a region that I know well in South America, there are clear links to the involvement of big organized criminal groups in the activities with regards to illegal mining. And this is environmental crime as a service, also to provide financial support to other criminal activities. With regards to technology, I think it's quite clear that one of the key elements is to focus on satellite imagery. It's obviously an excellent tool to focus on surveillance on specific areas which are not accessible because they are far from the human access. They do not have any facilities to access. And they are remote areas, and that's why satellite imagery has become a key to identify, first, for example, deforestation hotspots as well as illegal mining hotspots. This can be done as well, and this links the use of technology to the link of corruption. Because we've been speaking today, as an example, on the illegal logging, the logging sites where specific licenses are provided. And we have identified recently many cases where logging activities were taking place linked to a specific permit with specific coordinates, but in this place, when checking on through this satellite imagery surveillance, we were able to detect that those coordinates had no logging activity at all. So that meant they were covering other areas, even in protected areas. They were extracting the protected timber. They were extracting high-value timber from these protected areas, but they were covered by the issuing of specific permits in other areas. So this is this is just to give an example on how does it operate in the illegal logging activities, but it applies as well to illegal mining sites with licenses which are given to specific people operating on the ground, but that later on are the companies that are behind the trade are those facilitating the illegal mining, the mining activities. We are also providing support to our member countries with regards to specific programs. We have our Brazilian colleagues here that have at the moment an interesting program to trace gold. It's so-called Ouro Alvo program. And it has the aim to identify the origin of gold. As I said before, one of the main features of environmental crimes is that they are driven by legal companies, or even the illegally extracted gold is introduced into the legal market. And to detect such activities, it's crucial to be able to identify the origin of gold. And this is something that can only be done through specific technology, and in this case, through the isotopic analysis. So we are supporting the Brazilian authorities in mapping all the mining sites around South America that can even be expanded out of the region. This is something that can be perfectly applicable to other regions, so that we have a full library with the data on isotopes to determine the origin, so that later on we can compare to the seized gold or even to traded gold, so that the origin can be determined. And I would like to finish my intervention with regards to the, I was speaking about forensics, about different lab technology, and to finish the intervention, I would like to speak about internal cooperation. Back in 2014, Interpol created the concept of the National Environmental Security Task Force, and that has the aim to bring together all agencies at national level who has a role to play with regards to environmental crime. But this means it's not only the police, it's not only customs, it's not only the judicial authorities, it's to sit all of them together so that they come to an agreement, a formal agreement, so that they exchange information, operational information that can lead to to obtaining better results in their investigations. At the end, we are speaking about the access to data. This data belongs to the authorities, but often this data is not exchanged amongst the authorities, and that's why we are promoting as much as possible this kind of exchange of information, so that this data can be observed with, like, let's say, the glasses of an investigator, so that administrative information can become information applicable to a judicial investigation. And that's the aim of the creation of this kind of collaborative networks at a national level. That will be all from my side. Thank you again for the invitation. I give the floor to Paul.
Good morning. I would like to show you a presentation to make easier to share the ideas. Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk a little about our work in the Amazon IPCC. This is our building located in Manaus, which was officially inaugurated in September of this year, and by its side, the center's logo. Next slide, please. The objective of Amazon IPCC is to integrate the efforts of public security forces from the 9 Brazilian states and the 9 countries, Brazil plus 8 others, that have the Amazon rainforest within their territories. We already have representatives from 7 states, 7 Brazilian states, and 7 countries at the center. And we count on the support of partner institutions such as Interpol, Europol, Ameripol, UNODC, and others. Next, please. This integration is based on 3 pillars. The first one is sharing techniques and doctrines to align the actions of different institutions which have different origins, different doctrines, and different organizational cultures. The second one is sharing information and intelligence. Amazon IPCC is also an intelligence unit where information is exchanged among its members. But we are not just an intelligence unit. And this is our third pillar, which represents our differential in comparison to the other police cooperation centers. We go further into planning and executing operations to help the participating institutions to produce evidence that can be used in judicial proceedings resulting from their investigations. Next, please. Here we have a photo of the center's command and control room on its opening day. Since the focus of this presentation is the use of technology against environmental crimes, I will introduce you to the Brazil Mais project. Next, please. Well, the Brazil Mais project gives us access to high-definition satellite images updated daily, which help us to plan where and when to act in the Amazon rainforest. Keep in mind, we are talking about a forest with more than 5 million square kilometers. That is more than half of Brazil's territory, which is the 5th largest country in the world. It's larger than the entire European Union. And it has areas of extremely difficult access, only reachable by river or by air. There are no roads. Therefore, the use of technology is essential to optimize the deployment of resources available to the state apparatus. Here, we have an image that I extracted a few days ago while researching points where deforestation was detected 1 week earlier. Based on this data, we can define the main areas to be targeted in an operation to combat this kind of crime. Next one, please. In the same way, we can access updated information about fire hotspots through the Amazon territory. Next. We can also filter the information to identify points where there are dredging activities for illegal mining in the rivers. Next. Or identify mining points on land. Next. Take this last example. We can also determine if the criminal activities detected by the satellite are occurring within protected areas, which are these smaller polygons in the map. Next, please. By zooming in the image, we can verify the exact locations within the chosen preservation areas. The system allows us to obtain images with up to 3 meters resolution. Next. In addition to the satellite imaging system, we also use advanced technology to identify the origin of materials such as gold and timber or wood through their isotopic profile. These projects, one of these is the Ouro Alvo project, as Adrian said. are very important to break the chain of illegal trade in gold and timber extracted from prohibited areas. This prevents the laundering of the assets illegally taken from the nature. Next, please. This effort by Amazon IPCC, which began its activities in June of this year and was officially inaugurated in September, is already producing visible results as shown in this slide. Note that in just over 5 months of operation, we have acted in different Brazilian states in partnership with many institutions as FUNAI, IBAMA, Brazilian Army, and others. Next, please. Not only with Brazilian partner institutions, but also with institutions for other countries, such as Guyana, Colombia, and Bolivia. So, once more, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm available to clarify any questions or curiosities about our work in Amazon IPCC.
Thank you, speakers, all the panelists who have presented this incredible technologies initiative to help monitor resources and also detect and prevent illegal activities in the environment. As I'm moderating on behalf of the Policy Center, also let me take this time to recognize the government of Norway as one of the organizers of this session. They have continuously promoted efforts to combat climate change, protect forests, and also preserve nature around the world. They're also a staunch promoter of Policy Center, where we champions ambitious journalism that generates long-term impacts. So for many years, the government of Norway, with the initiative of NICFI and also NORAD, have helped us to enable to scale up and elevate impact for environmental journalism that informs policy and business decision. We don't have much time. I'll be happy to share a little bit more of our work in Amazon Mining Watch, where we use technology and digital tools. So maybe after this, all of the speakers can be available for questions. But before I close these panels, let me want to say thank you to all of the panelists and speakers for your leadership in your work and also your partners. And also want to say that hopefully we can all benefit from these panels and with different intergovernmental or cooperation that we can really help to protect the natures and with different technology and digital tools. With that, thank you everyone for joining us this morning remotely and here, and also to the panels once again. Thank you everyone.